Hi everyone, my name's Steve Kligerman, pronouns he, him, his, and I'm a career consultant at the Center for Career Development at UConn. And today I'm going to talk about how to interpret your Focus 2 results after taking all of the assessments. So when you're looking at your Focus 2 page, it's going to be split into two different areas in terms of the assessments that you took. First is your career planning foundations, which you can see those three right here, and then there's the 5 self-assessments that you do, which you can then combine the assessments and see your results from there. So I'll go through each one of these just to give you an idea of what to look for within these results and how to think about all of the information that it's giving you. So starting with your My Career Planning involvement, once you go to your results here, so this is really taking a look at what stage are you in terms of your career planning. So it's going to give you a graph here of 3 different areas: self-exploration and planning. These are each going to be rated with a score 1 to 5, with 5 being very prepared, 1 being not prepared. And these are all based on the answers that you gave. So the first one is your self-assessment. So this is how much have you done in terms of looking at your own interests, values, personality, skills, and just thinking about you before even thinking about how it's going to relate to your career. Then this middle column, this career exploration, is going to be how much have you done in terms of looking and exploring different careers that relate to what you found within your self-assessment. So what sort of careers, jobs have the same values and go with the type of work personality that you have. And then finally, your career planning satisfaction score here. So this is going to be after that self-assessment and career exploration, how much have you done in terms of planning out your next steps within career. So now that you have an idea of what you want to do, it doesn't have to be an exact job, but just a basic area or a few that you are considering. What have you done in terms of making a plan and figuring out what skills you want to develop? What experiences do you want to have to give you a better idea of what you want to do within that field or within those areas that you are considering? As I mentioned, these are going to be you're going to be given a score within each of these between 1 and 5. If any of your scores are around a 2.0 or lower, this is an indication that you're going to want to go a little bit further within this area. So if you see a score that is 2.0 or lower within your career exploration, that's an indication that you want to do a little bit more research on the careers that relate to some of those values and skills that you looked at within your self-assessment. So if any of these are 2.0, you want to go a little bit more into those, and if you're not sure how to do that, that's something where you can connect with one of our career coaches to help you through that. So then moving on to my academic strengths, this one's pretty self-explanatory, but it's basically just going to take the results from your academic strengths assessment and categorize the different areas based on how you answered. So it's going to categorize them in I do very well in the following, I do all right in the following, I don't do well in the following, and then I never took this subject in the following. So this can just give you an idea of some of your academic strengths, areas that you're a little bit weaker in or that you may not be interested, and then also taking a look at this I never took this subject area. These are things where maybe you're exploring some careers and some things sounded interesting within business, but you never really took that subject and you don't have an idea. That's something where now maybe if you have an open spot to take an elective course or you want to do some research on your own, you can look into that to see if it's an area where maybe it will be a strength once you get some experience within it. And then finally, for your career planning foundations, the last one is Am I Career Ready? So when you look at these results for Am I Career Ready, these are organized into the 8 different career competencies set forth by the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So it's known as NACE, and they have this list of 8 career competencies that employers really look for. They're the transferable skills that successful people within the workforce have, and especially college students going into the workforce. So you can see they're organized. They're going to be organized by how well you scored in each area on this graph. So you're going to take a look at this, and the ones that are your highest rated, these are areas you're going to want to be able to talk about and highlight within an interview, on your resume, things like that. So you can see minor communication, professionalism, and technology. So these are areas that I'm going to want to make sure I have examples for, because they are competencies that I have really developed. And then looking through anything that's lower, these are areas that are going to be a little bit less developed. So you can see I'm only moderately developed in some of these areas. So these are ones that I'm going to want to think about. How can I strengthen these areas and get better to be more well-rounded? So then once you take a look at this graph, you can then hit continue, and it will actually bring up each career competency, and tell you where you were rated within that, and then give you some ways that you can actually further develop that competency, and then some an area to put some notes in addition. So any ideas to further develop that either are already listed, and you go into a little bit more detail about how you're going to do that, or if you have some ideas of how to develop that competency that isn't on this list. But you can check off any of these, and you can do it for each one to make sure that you're really working to improve the areas that you are a little bit weaker in. So once you've taken a look at all of your results from career planning foundations, you can then go on to the results from your self-assessments. So starting with your work interest assessment, this is going to be what areas of work interest you within your future job. So you're going to hit results, and it's going to give you a graph on these 6 categories, and it's going to give you your work interest Holland code. So a Holland code is based off of the strong interest code that's commonly used within career planning, and it's going to give you the letters of the 3 areas that you have rated the highest and have the most interest shown within those areas. So you can see mine is CES for conventional, enterprising, and social. So then if you scroll down, you can take a look at what each of these mean. So it's going to give you different type of tasks and work environments that connect with each one of those areas. So you can see pay attention to administrative details for me, like to see things run efficiently and smoothly within conventional, and then so forth. And then it's also going to show you what you rated the lowest in as well. So for me, realistic is my lowest. Prefer to work with objects and things, enjoy creating things with their hands and using tools and machines. This is my lowest, and that very much connects and relates to me, that those are things that are not strengths for me and not areas that I'm interested in. So I can see here what my interests are. Anything that is 50 or above is very strong, but then you can see it will show you what you're highest in regardless. So then you can take a look at these, and you can start to think about different jobs or areas that connect with these. And it may not be where one job connects with every single one of these bullets for your areas of strength or your highest work interest areas, but you can think about, do they connect with some of them? Or maybe it's 2 of these boxes of my strengths or high work interest areas really connect with the tasks that I would be doing, and maybe the third one is one where it's not necessarily the tasks, but that's what sort of the work area is all about. So maybe I'm doing something where I'm paying attention to administrative details and making sure there are well kept records and organization and things like that, and I'm also helping people and working with people on a team, and so I'm using those areas within my work interest. And then the third one would be maybe it's for a company that is selling and promoting different things within talks and speeches and things like that. So it's not necessarily using those exact tasks, but it's all for, I'm using two of those areas for a company that is related to the third area, if that makes sense. That's just one way to think about it, instead of feeling like, oh, I have to pick a job or an area that fits every single one of these in terms of my strengths. That's just a different way to think about it that you can look through. And then if you hit continue, you can see some different occupations that match with your hauling code, but I'm going to wait on this because once you combine all of your assessments at the end, it can give you a much stronger connection between all of the assessments, but this is an option for you where you can look through the different occupations. So moving on to personality assessment. So this is going to be how you relate to the environment around you and your personality. So it's going to give you some different things that talk about your personality within the workplace in terms of what your personality is. And then it's going to give you some ideas of people with your personality, what kind of jobs they tend to go into. And so you can read through each of those, pretty self-explanatory. And then same thing with work interest area. You can hit continue and look through different jobs that connect with the personality that connect with you. Then on to leisure assessment. So this is what you do for fun, and do any of those components connect with the work areas? So going into the results, similar to the work interest area, it's going to give you this graph within these 6 different areas and what your strengths are. It's not going to give a hauling code that's separate, but it's very similar where you'll have these 3 letters of your strongest areas. And basically same thing from that work interest area. You can look through and see if any of these do connect to how you feel. And then same thing with these weaknesses down here. And so just read through, and within your leisure assessment, you're not always going to have an occupation that connects with every one of your leisure activities that you do for fun, but it's nice to see if there are any connections or things that relate to your interests of leisure. And then the last two, values and assessment and skills and assessment, are pretty self-explanatory, but it's just going to give you the top 3 areas that you selected from that values assessment. And then just like we've seen, it's going to give you all of a list of occupations that match with those values. And same thing for your skills assessment. It's going to show you your top 3 skills that you selected and then jobs that connect with that. So then once you've looked through all of that and you've finished all of these 5 assessments, you can then combine the assessments, and this is where you're really going to get a true idea of how all of these assessments come together. So you're going to want to select all 5 of these so that it combines all of them to find the best fit occupations. And so once you do that, it's going to give you a list of occupations that fit or appear within X number of assessments that you took. So you can see I don't have any occupations that appear in all 5 of my assessments. That is totally normal. It's likely that that will be the case for you, and even so with 4 assessments that you've completed, you can see I only have 2. That's pretty common. Typically students are seeing quite a few occupations once they get to 3 of the assessments that they've completed. So you can open up that, so you can see I have 52 occupations that appear in 3 of the assessments that I completed, and then you can go through and look at these different occupations. It's going to give you what the title is. If it's considered a green job, it's going to have a little leaf here. This sun means that there is a bright outlook, so there are going to be a higher number of jobs available within the future. It's going to give you what majors and programs are connected and supported within that position, and then once you look at that, you can click in and actually save that major if it's one you're considering or want to look into more. And then also if you click on this next to it, it'll actually bring you right to the departmental page for that major. So if you are looking to do a little bit more research, you can do that. It's going to give you the median salary for people within that career. So this is not median salary for starting positions. This is for people within that position in general. So just note that. It's going to give you the job family, and then it's going to show you which of your assessments that that the occupation fell within. So you can see for administrative assistant, it falls within work, my personality. This was my work interest, personality, and then my skills assessment as well. So those are the three that connected with that one. So you can look through this list, see which ones match with the different assessments, and then if any of them interest you, you can then click on that. So let's say this athlete's business manager is something that I want to look a little bit more into. It's going to bring you to that specific occupation page, give you an overview. You can save this occupation so you can look at it later. It's going to give you job tasks. It's going to show you your work interest profile, so how your results connect to people within this occupation, so you can do a little comparison there. It's going to show you the most popular and common skills within that occupation, the values that are connected to it, work conditions, education requirements. So you can look through the different majors or areas of study at UConn that could be connected with this occupation. It's going to give you the job outlook, earnings that you can also sort by state. Advancement, so you start in one position and then what are the future positions once you get promoted or move on, those different areas. And then if there are some professional associations connected with this occupation, so you can go into those as well. And you can do that for all these different ones. You can also filter as well. So let's say that you're planning on getting your bachelor's degree at UConn, but you really don't see yourself getting an advanced degree after that. You can do that, update it, and now it's going to give you occupations that will only need that bachelor's degree instead of the advanced degree. So that's an option for you. So I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully that was helpful for you in terms of interpreting your results. There's a ton that you can do within Focus 2 as you look through your results. When you scroll down here, you can explore more based on different things, look at different jobs side by side, things like that. So really you can get in here and spend some time, and then it's also a good idea too to update your self-assessments once in a while as well. So let's say that you did your self-assessments, looked through everything, have an idea, maybe a year later you want to go and start over and take those assessments again and then see if anything has changed, and can kind of help you guide your plan from there. If you have further questions about how to interpret your results, feel free to connect with a career coach. You can sign up for an appointment on Handshake, and we're happy to do that. But hopefully this gives you a good start in how to interpret your Focus 2 results.